Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the ETO Podcast. Joe Rodriguez, the worldwide Mexican, joining you as always from Bristol, Connecticut. Yes, I just love it. And we have a very special guest today. It's somebody a lot more beautiful than Edwin Cáceres. Edwin, I'm sorry, we had to replace you at least for the day. And I'm not talking about Super Mojado. Super Mojado,
Hey,
how are you, brother?
I'm good, man. Hello, Arantza.
Aranza,
Hi
how
guys,
are you?
how are you? I'm really excited about this invitation.
Well, Aranza
Awesome.
is a field reporter from Chivas TV, field soccer reporter. And Aranza, we're thrilled to have you here. You have a lot of fans out here in the United States, believe it or not. There's a lot of people that, were tuning in to the YouTube matches that Chivas TV was providing in English. And I'm sure that a lot of them have a lot of questions. But before we get started, what I want to do is I want to remind everybody to follow us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Right? And also, if you guys have any questions for Arantza, call us at 860-506-5903. Again, 860-506-5903. All right. And last but not least, a quick shout out to our friends over at Donde Super, hinchabrand.com. They are our proud sponsors. So, si quieren una ropita de Hincha clothing brand, make sure you visit www.hinchabrand.com. Again, I cannot stress enough how cool our polos are. ¿Te gustan los polos, Arantza? Do you like them?
The what?
The polos. Do you like our polos?
Yes, obviously. Yes.
All right.
Everyone working at sports has a polo.
Exactly. So again, big shout out to our brothers at Hincha Clothing Brand. Okay, Arantza, so let's get right into it. So talk to us about your humble beginnings. How did you get your career started in the world of football or journalism?
Well, it was kind of funny because someone could say that maybe when I decided what to study, I was already thinking about sports journalism. But actually, I just wanted to study communication. I have my skills. I can speak, and there are many things from communication that I actually like. And, well, I started university, and suddenly there was this contest from Fox Sports who was promoting university students, and they were inviting students to participate with a video. And each week, during 1 month or 2 months, I can't remember that, but they were choosing one person. So the thing was that you uploaded your video and then you had to ask everybody to vote for you. So it was kind of stressing, but at the end, they chose one. I was the second place, so they didn't choose me. And what happened next was that while I was sharing that video, someone just noticed me, and this was TJ Sports, and they invited me to participate with them. They were asking me if I wanted to participate once per week with them, just talking about sports, and I was like, well, that could work. And then I think you have something like that in the United States that you need to do your practices. I don't know how you call that, your social service, something like that.
Oh, like your internship?
Internship.
Yes. Yeah.
So they told me well, we'll give you all the hours you need to complete your internship. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Right.
That was October 2013. And they told me, and there's a possibility that you could come with us and because we're going to Brazil to the World Cup. And I was like, that won't happen, but okay, yeah, I'll just take it because of the internship. So I started. It was really exciting because suddenly you notice that everything that you've been listening to from your, everything that you hear from your teachers, everything that you study in the books, suddenly you're practicing it. And well, that was the beginning. On January 2014, they told me Arantza, are you still interested on traveling to Brazil and working for us? I was like, obviously, sure, but I didn't believe it.
Right.
And on March, they bought the ticket.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I'm actually going to Brazil. But I was like, well, let's see. So I actually went to Brazil. Unfortunately, I didn't get I don't get I can't remember the word even in Spanish. The accreditation.
Oh, the accreditation. Okay.
From FIFA. But even like that, you have that possibility, but also you can get the accreditation for many events from the World Cup.
Right.
So you could go to the
practices,
different presentations that they have for the different prizes
right.
and everything.
Right.
So I was really excited because during those months I learned many things. But one of the first things was that it's not easy because suddenly you have to adapt to everything that happens. Like if they tell you need to be there at 4 a.m., you need to be there at 4 a.m. And then
right.
you need to look like it's 10 a.m., like everything is okay.
Right.
So then the second thing was that everyone was a professional there.
Right.
And so everyone knew how to work on their own things. And I had to learn everything during I have no time to learn everything, but I had to. So it was like an emergency practice lesson. I don't know how to call it, but it was really fun. I got really, really sick. Like every illness you can think of, like I got it. And they told me it was because of stress, but I enjoyed everything. So it didn't matter. And so I went to the matches. I understood that the World Cup is an event that you have to go. And then if you can work during the event, that's amazing. Like I was part of it, but I think that I would love to have like an official accreditation and work as an official reporter because we work for many TV companies in Mexico. Mm-hmm. So this was called Lion Heart Digital. Mm-hmm. So it's like a sports news agency.
Right.
And the thing was, it's here. This is linked to Chivas TV. So we work for some company here in Guadalajara that is called C7 Deportes. I don't know if it exists or yes, it still exists. Okay, so yes, we work for them, and then after I got back to Tijuana,
yep.
Televisa called me, and they told me like, hey, we're interested in you, so you could work for us. You could be like a host, like a sports host for us, and a reporter and everything. So I worked for Televisa for 9 months. It was like my second practice, and I learned to do also everything, like go and learn how to use the camera, and then right. learn how to edit, and then to download and to use it, to do everything. And then also, it wasn't only about soccer. It was about every sport you can think of. So the most interesting thing that I learned is that the best tool you can have is knowledge.
Right.
Because, one of my main purposes was to show that women can be as experienced as a man.
Of course.
So I knew that was something that was going to take a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. And I started learning from people, learning from books, learning from watching TV, learning from everything, because suddenly you know about basketball, soccer, like all these popular games,
right,
and popular sports, but suddenly they tell you like swimming, like how do you evaluate swimming? Like right. I was like, I don't know anything about that. Or then like, different sports like that.
Right.
So I learned, and then after 9 months, I went to Mexico City to continue studying. Oh, I was studying there. So I have to tell you that I was studying, and I was entering at 7 a.m. Then I got out at 3 p.m. and then I went to Televisa at 3:30 p.m. And everyone maybe could imagine like, oh, she got like this makeup artist that was waiting for her.
Right.
No, it didn't exist. I was like, okay, I have 20 minutes to make my best. And that was like, I was always in a rush. And then I get out from Televisa until 11:30, 12, around that. So that was from Monday to Friday. And then during some weekends, I had to work also.
Wow.
After I went to Mexico City, it was really fun because I was studying, but I wanted to work. And I was like, what could I do? And there
What
was
were
a
you
person that
studying,
told me that
Arantza? What were you studying at the time? And where?
field communication at Ibero in Mexico City.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I like Mexico City because I feel that some universities, sometimes it's like communication, but you have like journalism, and then I don't know how to say this, but comunicación organizacional, that is like a little bit of public relations.
Or organizational communication.
Yeah, okay. So that was it. Okay. Yeah, so you get a little bit of everything. So I feel like you never focus on one thing. So when I got to Mexico City, it actually let me concentrate on one thing.
Right.
So I went for journalism, and well, there was a person that told me like, hey, I think you have the skills and you have everything like to start filming this commercials, advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, yeah, I think I can do that while I study. So I went for, I don't know, let's say cover girl and all that. I never got into one of those commercials. And then the one time, a friend of mine from Tijuana sent me, there was like this post, and they were searching for a girl. And I remember that advertising had like Vanessa Content, Marisol Gonzalez, and then who else? Like women from a sports program.
Right.
And they were like, we're searching for you. And like, we need you to know about sports because we need you to analyze and everything. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe I could do this. So I went to the casting. There were no girls there. Like there were no these big lanes that I found on some other casting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, hi, how are you? So they asked me about international soccer, and then like which was my favorite team and why, and what, like things that were actually not just like, you know, sometimes it's like girl and soccer, and you're just they have the image, or people have this image that we can only go and ask like people like, oh, which is your favorite player? Oh, do you think he's handsome?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I don't want them to ask me things like that, because then I'll know what they're searching for.
Right.
And no, they were asking for my opinion, and they were like trying to figure out a little bit more about my soccer analysis and that. And I said, well, I felt okay. Like this is the first casting that I feel like really, really comfortable and confident. And I said bye-bye. And then after 1 week, they called me. The funny thing was that they didn't like told me like who was behind this casting, like which was the company that was searching for the girl.
Right.
From the post, I didn't get like a really like official company, but I was like, well, maybe it's YouTube and it's a job, and I'll do what I like to do, so it's okay.
Right.
And that was the first week. They called me after 1 week, and they told me, hey, so you went to the second stage. And I was like, oh, I was so excited. Mm-hmm. And they told me, well, but we'll send you the address after 2 days, and we'll send you the time and all of the details. And it was like a little bit mysterious. So I was like, maybe I'm going to get kidnapped there. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And then I just like told my dad, and he was like, no one. I was like, yeah, they're going to kidnap you. And I was like, no. Like, I don't feel that scared. So after 2 days, they sent me the address, and I find out that it was TV Azteca in Mexico. So when you know that sometimes you have like Televisa in some other place, like outside Mexico City, or TV Azteca outside Mexico City, and I don't know how to say it. It's a little bit less important because everything is focused inside Mexico City.
Yeah.
So the most important TV companies in general are inside Mexico City.
Right.
So when they told me about Mexico City and that I was one of the selected ones, I was like, wow, this is so fun and so exciting. So I went there and I remember like I studied everything I could, so history, everything that I knew about.
Right.
They could ask me about. And I went there and suddenly I found that there were many girls that used to work at big companies and they had like a lot of experience. And I felt like a little bit less confident than at the beginning, but I was like, okay, I've already done this some years ago, and well, I went to Brazil, so I must have something.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, and I remember that it was on how do you call the like mesa redonda, the rounded
The round table?
around the table?
Round table, yeah.
Yeah.
Round table.
Do you know this program that is like from with the warrior from El Warrior and with all these people from TV Azteca that is
Yeah.
always like making analysis and
Right.
yeah, so
Okay.
it was with them, and they asked me for my opinion, and they were like, they were looking for some debate, and it was kind of fun. And then they asked me like for many different things. So the thing was that after that, at the beginning, at the end, the producer told me like, Arantza, like wait here. So they were saying bye bye to everyone, and they told me like, can you wait for me? And I was like, gosh, like, well, I don't know if this is going to be like something good or something bad, but at the end it was something good because they told me that I was one of the selected ones. And unfortunately, what happened next is that they fired many people after like 1 month during 2016, and well, the program came down. Went down, and yeah, so I went back to Tijuana, and then I got the call from Chivas TV, and I'm here.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
it sounds like you had quite the journey to get to where you're at. So experiences are so valuable at any place because they teach us something, right? And I've always said this.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right, you can learn something from anyone. It doesn't matter what position or what title they have. Individuals have the capability to show us all something. So now let's talk about Chivas and talk about your role at Chivas. So what is that like?
It's just amazing. I remember that when they first told me that I was going to be a soccer field reporter, like I didn't have any experience at all. So normally you hear like, oh, soccer field reporter, and you're just like, oh, okay, great. And then I was like, what should I do during a match? So I learned. I studied. I watched many soccer games to find out what I was supposed to do. And then it is amazing because there's a thing. My grandfather, my mom's father, was like our big Chivas fan. Like this kind of person that is just like, if they love the game, like nobody speaks to him because he was just like in a bad mood, really, really bad mood. He would cry.
Wow.
He would get excited.
He was a true
if they
fanatic.
won. Yeah,
Yes.
real fanatic.
De hueso
100%.
colorado.
Yeah, exactamente. Hueso colorado, totalmente. Yes. So after they told me that it was Chivas, I remember that he was the first person that got really, really excited. And then you know that this is a really, really loved team because it represents like Mexican spirit, our DNA. So I knew that I had like a big responsibility. That was the main thing that I needed to make a good job because I got something that many people wanted. So working for Chivas is just amazing because you fall in love for a team, for their accomplishments. You feel not what they feel because I think everyone feels things differently, but you actually can feel like the atmosphere when they lose, when they win, and then the excitement. Like I actually had the opportunity to live everything during the 2017 tournament. So it was just amazing because you know everything that they went through, and suddenly there's the result. So it's just amazing because you fall in love with the team you're working for. So that would be like the exact description of it.
Right. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced at Chivas TV?
That's a really, really good question. One of the main things was what I mentioned before, that I didn't know like how to do my job at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, and sometimes because you admire people,
Right.
you're trying to find like your own essence, I would call it. So I was like, what am I giving to this broadcast that nobody is giving
Mm-hmm.
yet? So that was one of the main things that I was like, oh, I don't know, what am I doing right now? Like, what should I say? What should I do? The second thing is, there's one thing that I don't know if this is a good to say, but that's reality. Everybody thinks that because you're a woman working with the soccer players and everything is just like, oh, it's going to be so easy for her because she's a woman and like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So no, you need to be always like with this extra carefulness, I would say, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and to be as professional as you can.
Right.
So I think those would be my two biggest challenges, because I have a lot of support after working working with many people. You find out that Chivas TV has been like really, really supportive.
Yep.
So I like that.
Before I move over to Super, I want to ask you one more thing. So as you know,
Yeah.
El Tri Online is here based out of the U.S. And
Okay.
obviously we cover primarily Liga MX, Mexican soccer players in English, also in Español, you know, lo que caiga de vez en cuando. So, but the primary focus is to cover the game in English. And you're obviously working for Chivas TV in English. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what does that mean to you, being able to broadcast and work on these games in English for the audience out here in the United States.
Okay, actually, that's one of the challenges. That was one of the biggest challenges. When they first told me that I would have the opportunity, I got really, really excited, just like as you see me right now. I got really excited because I love to speak English. And then I learned that there are many, 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 many people in the United States following Liga MX, and that there is a connection between people not working, people that is Mexican and has like this relationship with Mexico through Chivas. I don't know if I explain myself. Like, some people have never been in Mexico, but I know that my father and my grandfather and my grandfather lived in Mexico, and they were Chivas. And suddenly, I have the opportunity to connect with them through Chivas.
Right.
And then we can go all together to the soccer games, and so that's pretty amazing. So I got really excited because I knew that I had the opportunity to get to a big audience. So the big challenge, and we were talking about it before this, is that even if you know, if you speak English, there are all these terminologies, soccer terminologies that are completely different. And it has been really amazing because the play-by-play commentator is Ramsés Sandoval. I totally admire him.
Yep.
He has this great way to lead the game, the broadcast, everything. So, and then he's like a great teacher, and he's really supportive. And all the analysts, because they've been different ones. There have been different ones that have been working with us. So it has been amazing, because then also the response from the people in the United States has been amazing. Like, they have been really thankful for letting them watch the soccer games, because I know that there have been times where they've been struggling to watch the game. So it's amazing, like all the love you get from them, the connection, it's just the connection with your own people, with your roots.
That's very true. Very well spoken. A ver, Super, te toca. What kind of questions do you have for Arantza?
Well, there's so many. Where do we start? Well, were you always a football fan?
Yes, yes, I love sports. I've always loved sports. So, and my dad is the kind of dad that is like, okay, this is the weekend, so we're all going to watch soccer. But the funny thing is that my dad is Americanista. 100%. So you have my mom that is Chivas, and then you have my dad that is America. So just like the bullying between them and with all of us, and and my dad is always joking with me, like, when are you going to give me a jersey so I can clean my car and things like that. So
I feel your pain. My dad is Americanista too, so he's de hueso colorado.
You know it.
Oye, really quick, guys. Queremos mandar un saludo a Ricardo Celis. Ricardo, un saludo. Allá estás en Miami. También saludo a Leo Hernández. Leo Hernández pregunta, when is Arantza going to Águilas TV?
No. My dad would love that. He's waiting for it. Like, ódiame más TV.
Lo que pasa es que en América no existe, okay? So, solo el mejor tiene Chivas TV.
Obviously.
También saludos a Luis Bravo. Luis Bravo, saludos. Dice, según él, que América el mejor. But anyway, hey, people have the right to give their opinion, right? Hey, Arantza, do you know that Super Mojado's probably one of the biggest hardcore Chivas fans? Did you know that?
Really?
Oh, man.
Número uno. Number one in all the USA. So that's me.
Pues ahorita tenemos a puros americanistas mirándonos. Saludos también a Philip Ortiz. Philip Ortiz dice, vamos a América. So, de todos modos, saludos a toda la banda, aunque le vayan al peor equipo de México.
Yeah. It's okay. It's soccer. It's okay.
No, it's okay. Here in this show, we love everyone. So
Exactly. See,
all the fans.
That's exactly what we're here for, Arantza. We're here to serve the audience that's really underrepresented here in the United States. That's the reality. A lot of people don't focus on our bilingual and English dominant speaking soccer fans, and there's millions of them. There's millions of Mexican soccer fans, Liga MX soccer fans, America fans, Cruz Azul fans, Chivas fans, obviously. So there's just so many fans. And not only that, but let's keep in mind that we also have a lot of the top players coming over to MLS, right? Like Carlos Vela, Pizarro. So you see a wave of Mexican influence coming into this league as well. And it's extremely important for the fans who maybe not necessarily speak Spanish as their first language anymore to be served accordingly. So that's the purpose of El Tri Online. So, and that's why we're really thrilled that Chivas TV also took that into consideration, because it's important for them to serve that audience as well. And I think that you guys are doing a fabulous job at making sure that you guys are part of this push. It's incredible.
Thank you. That's the objective. So we feel it's a pleasure for us to have this opportunity.
Absolutely. All right, Super. Go ahead. Let's ask Arantza one more topic question before we move on to the rest of the topics.
No, and I was just gonna tell her that we were so happy that you got to work with Elmore too, right? I mean, that's our friend Elmore.
Yes, exactly. That was during the first broadcast we have.
Yes.
So,
Elmer, saludos.
Sí. Saludos a Elmore.
All right, let's get onto some other topics because obviously, Arantza, as you know, you're out there in Mexico. You know of a lot of the things that are going on right now in the world of Mexican soccer. And the very first thing that I want to talk about is actually the cancellation of the All-Star game between MLS and Liga MX. So it's important because obviously this was going to be one of the first real All-Star matches. And I think everybody here in the United States, MLS fans, Liga MX fans, were looking forward to having that showdown. So it was meant to be, taking place in LA this upcoming July. But now, again, it's been officially canceled by both Liga MX and MLS. So my question to you, Arantza, is this. Do the people in Mexico, did they care about this match? at all?
To be completely sincere, no.
Okay.
No.
Why?
Not yet. No. I have to say something. MLS has been growing.
Yes.
It's not like a 100% no. It's like MLS has been growing. The quality, the level. You have been saying that for the past years, the Mexican soccer players have gone. Europeans have come. That they were Mexicans that went to Europe and then they went to MLS. So not like it has not been like a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell. It's more about that. That's my no. They have not been talking about that because they've been a little bit more focused on the cancellation of the Liga MX, on other tournaments, on what will happen because we still don't know what will happen, right?
Right.
But I think that with the pass of the years, this has been growing more and more and more. So it's about that. People have been taking care about Liga MX, and this match was important specifically for the soccer club.
Mm-hmm.
But MLS is starting to get to Mexico.
Mm. What do you mean by? Can you elaborate more on that?
Yes. So after the quality has been growing, after they've been acquiring more levels, then Mexico is getting a little bit more interested, little by little.
Gotcha.
So after all the Mexican soccer players that have been going to the MLS, now Mexico is turning their head towards MLS. That's the thing. So little by little, they're just like, oh, MLS is getting better. It's interesting. So that's the thing. If you're just like waiting like Liga MX and then this match, it was like, well, we're actually waiting for the Liga MX. But then when everything gets to normality, I know that everyone will be expecting this match. I can assure you. And then this gives a little bit more time for the MLS to get even better and better. But that's the thing. It's something new for Mexico. We could call it like that. It's a little bit new that they hear more about MLS.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. So that was one thing, right? The All-Star game. But what about competitions like the Leagues Cup? That was also canceled. And that was a huge a tournament for MLS, Liga MX, in the sense that you had the teams competing against each other for something besides the CONCACAF Champions League, right? So CONCACAF was up till last year the only time that these teams competed in an official tournament. I know that they had like, Superliga, and they had a bunch of like other like, smaller tournaments. But this Leagues Cup was meant to be something huge this year, right? You were going to have 8 MLS teams. You were going to have 8 Liga MX teams. And it was meant to be a competition where both teams were going to be pitted at each other, not at the very beginning, but it was going to be in the middle of the season now for MLS teams, right? So do tournaments like that, do they also carry no weight? Or what is the Mexican audience and the Mexican teams, what do they feel about those?
No, actually people complain because just like you mentioned, they were waiting. They feel like these tournaments can make Liga MX grow more, and then to have a little bit more of exposition, I would call it. Yes, that's the word, exposition.
Exposition?
Exposure.
Exposure, yes. Exposure.
Okay, exposure. Yeah, so these tournaments let the countries to have more exposure.
Right.
That's the thing. So that's where the weight is, I think.
Right. Okay. Well, go ahead, Super.
And I think one thing that the MLS has been doing right is because they're investing money in all these Mexican stars. That's some of these stars have a lot of connection with the fans because they used to watch them in Europe, playing in all these big clubs. And then, of course, once they come here, they were going to get all the attention from these followers, like especially like Chicharito and Chivas. All the Chivas fans were always like, I include myself in this, watching his games in Europe. Now he's here. And, of course, he's going to bring all that attention from Mexico. I think too. So that was a great thing, and I think I don't know with the cup, the MLS
Leagues Cup?
and Liga MX, yeah, the Leagues Cup. I was just gonna ask this question. Do you guys think that that's part of the reason why the La Liga MX got rid of Liga de Ascenso?
I think many things come with that with that thing. I couldn't give my opinion from the disappearance of Liga de Ascenso because like I can give my personal opinion, but then you have like all the club's objectives, and I think here it has to do money, specifically money and many other interests. So my personal opinion, it is a possibility for many soccer players to keep leveling up. And yeah, but that's like my personal opinion. I think everyone has like their own perspective for this. So I don't think this is like directly linked to what you were mentioning. But yeah, many have just like disqualified this decision.
But there could be something to it because let's remember, like we said, that the league was gonna expand. Now they were gonna have 8 teams from Mexico and 8 teams from the MLS. Who knows if they were planning maybe to expand even more in the future and have like 10 or 12 teams from each country, and now to fit that in the calendar year, it was gonna be difficult. So now, maybe because Copa MX, I'm talking, I don't know if Copa MX is still on the
yes, Copa
going on or
still works and exists, and it's
no, but even though they canceled La Liga de Ascenso, is that gonna continue?
Yeah.
Wow.
Copa
Okay.
MX.
I did not know that. I thought they were gonna get rid of that.
I have to tell you, Copa MX. Well, right now, yes, and I think this is the opportunity. That tournament gives the opportunity to all the jobs to participate and to gain the level to become part of the 11 of the main 11 from a team. So I think it's this Copa MX now will be the opportunity for the jobs to prove them and to prepare them.
Okay. I wanna before we wrap up this topic, I wanna ask one last question. And this is it's a really difficult question to ask, but I hope that you understand what I'm trying to ask here.
Okay.
Do you think that there's maybe a chance or a reason that Liga MX may feel threatened by MLS? That maybe they see that they're growing too fast and they could surpass them in popularity and quality? Is that something that they're worried about? What do you think?
Well, first I have to say something. I think the MLS has been working with 2 main ideas, marketing and investment. Why? Because the marketing, you were seeing it. You have all these soccer players from Mexico, from Europe that are attracting fans.
Mm-hmm.
They are just like, hey, look at us. Here we have like something to show you. We have something to give you.
Right.
And then, and that is like, yes, exactly. That represents money. You're going to be a league that can actually sell. So it's an investment. It's like, okay, I'll pay you more and you're going to bring money with you, obviously.
Right.
And the eyes and everything. So I don't know if Liga MX would feel like threatened, or it would be more like, well, we can work with each other because now you're going to be focused on my soccer players and what I create. Yeah?
Yeah,
So
okay.
I think it would be
fair.
like, yeah, I think that could actually happen, but it's a win-win for both of us. For
Yeah.
for the MLS and the Liga MX. I think that.
So in other words, you think that Liga MX is kind of like thinking ahead, and instead of feeling them as a threat and as an opposition, they're thinking, you know what, it's better to partner up with them right now that we have the opportunity to do so.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
yes.
I think
Let's remember.
It's a good opportunity.
Let's remember the Matrix. The Matrix. If you can kill them, join them.
Yes.
Right.
Actually, yes, but I think it's like they can do things together because, well, you know that our league sells a lot. Talking about TV, talking about the matches, about everything. We sell. Liga MX sells in the United States.
Absolutely. No, there's no denying that.
And they won't stop. It's just like, and let's talk about Chivas. Chivas will keep playing with players that are 100% Mexican.
Right.
So we have our own thing that the MLS won't take from us.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So it's that.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why that would never happen here, that's because that would be discrimination.
Yeah, well, they tried that too, and Chivas USA.
And the law here.
Chivas USA ended up getting sued because of that. So that's the reason why Chivas USA did not work in the beginning. All right, let's switch.
Never happen here.
Yeah, let's switch gears. Okay, so I know that Arantza, you mentioned earlier about the Clausura, right? That there's a lot of uncertainty, right? So the teams are supposed to, from my understanding, meet tomorrow, right? They're supposed to have their meeting. Yes. So what do you know about the cancellation? What do you know? Can you tell us?
Well, we've been hearing many things. I can tell you that even us, we hear the same things. After yesterday, we got a little bit worried because we were just like a 50% of what will happen because maybe we would get that behind closed doors. That was what you teach me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So
maybe that was going to happen. And the soccer players from Santos, 8 soccer players, got positive for COVID. I think that is going to have a lot of weight on the decision they make. So I don't know what will happen because they've been making all the medical las pruebas, like the how do you call it, the checkups, the medical checkups for COVID on all clubs. They've been like doing that, and Santos was the only one that actually said that they had 8 soccer players. But I don't know, like, once again, if you ask me like my personal opinion, or if you ask anybody outside a soccer club who has to do with all the administrative things and the money and all this stuff, it's there are many things. Then the other thing that they were saying was that maybe they could choose like some stadiums to play the matches, like Guadalajara, Mexico City, and I can't remember if the other one was Monterrey.
Your boss ended up offering the stadium, right, and to host all the games.
Yes, but that would also be like a high expense for many other soccer teams. So I don't know which is going to be the decision because there are many options on the air right now. But yeah, I think we need to take in perspective what happened yesterday with the soccer players. If they're going to be like, well, we're getting worried about what happened with Santos, so I don't know if this is going to be a good decision. Then talking about money, all the expenses that this would represent, but then you have also to take consideration about the sponsors and all the partnerships and all. There are many things on the air. I don't know which things they're going to consider for their final decision. And tomorrow we'll know because, yes, we're just like many things that you're hearing every day during this week. Right.
And it's incredible because they're under the same predicament as some of the other major leagues, right? Like the EPL, like the Serie A, La Liga. All these leagues have billions of dollars around the world in distribution rights. And obviously, Liga MX has a very big deal, a very lucrative deal with TUDN over here in the U.S. that gives them millions of dollars. So the reality is that, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know and understand that money is a big deal and the most important thing, right? But now that, the situation with Santos came up, right, it's almost, it would be counterproductive to allow for something like that to happen, right? The league to resume and then have more players exposed. The reality is that it just seems incomprehensible and irresponsible for Liga MX to resume the tournament. Don't you agree?
Yeah, totally. It's like, the thing is, if you cancel this tournament, how are you going to decide who's the winner, and how are you going to support that decision?
Right.
Like, there are many things, but it's kind of funny because sometimes you try to play with democracy, and you say like, well, it's just one team. Yeah, but how are you going to get Santos out of the play?
Right. Super just did a little Super, you want to touch a little bit on your Cruz Azuleada moments that you just did a couple of days ago?
Yes. So I put it out there, hearing the rumors that they were going to cancel, and they were going to cancel with no champion. So we're like, could this be another Cruz Azuleada? I mean, every time Cruz Azul has a chance or potential chance to get the title, something happens and it and everything goes to hell. So now, I mean, time and time again, we've seen it. They just can't get, a break, can catch a break.
Like, do you imagine people just like, well, here is the winner, and it's just like, okay, yeah.
Right. No,
good for you.
That would be
that was a
extremely
great
difficult.
job during this match.
Right, that would be
But
extremely
I don't
difficult.
think that would happen, though. I don't think that will happen in Mexico for them just to give the title to Cruz Azul. I mean,
no, because they know. No, and then imagine poor Cruz Azul, what they would say about him. Imagine, no.
Right.
Poor Cruz Azul.
Yeah.
I can already imagine the memes.
All the memes. Imagine that.
All the
Those
memes,
the memes.
Todos los memes, se alocan con los memes. Saluditos a más gente. Saludos a Philip Ortiz. He says, this is why I think a Super League will be created in North America. He was talking about the Leagues Cup tournament and the All-Star game. Saludos también. Elmore está sintonizándonos. Yo sé que lo saludaste tú, Super. Saludos a Oscar Morenos también. Saludos a la banda que nos está sintonizando. Oscar Moreno says, I wonder how Liverpool fans are feeling right now.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, I
Cruz
know how
Azul.
they're dealing with this situation.
La Cruz Azuleada.
La Cruz Azuleada Liverpool edition. But anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So okay. So going back to the safety of the players, right? I think that, again, going back to the safety of the players, that's ultimately the most important thing. But do you think, and again, I don't want to put you in a difficult spot because, your boss is one of the owners, but if we're giving a personal opinion, let me ask you, Super, so that way I don't put Arantza on the spot. Super. Super. Do you think that the owners at the end of the day are going to choose, because you're really choosing money over safety and health? Do you think they're going to do one or the other?
Yeah,
what?
I mean, it's hard, man. It's because when you lose money, it's not just the team losing money. Let's just remember that a lot of people live off of the clubs, so it's hard. And if they lose all this money, you know what happens when companies lose money? Then they start laying off people or firing people.
Yep.
And now you're messing with people's lives. So I know I understand, like it's gonna be a very difficult decision that they have to take, because they're not just hurting the club, but they're hurting the lives of others. Either way, either like on the health wise of the players, and or the financial situation of the people that work for the clubs,
Yeah.
If there's no money coming in, how are you gonna have money going out?
Right. Yeah. Arantza, so right now that the decision has happened, it's expected to happen tomorrow. Let's assume that they say, you know what, we are going to cancel the season. Have you heard about what would be next?
No, I think we're waiting for that decision to be made because many strategies will have to be created after it.
Right.
Because then we have to wait for the next calendar. I don't know if that is going to be changed also,
Right.
because normally it initiates by July.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if they're saying that, nobody can enter the stadium yet. We can't have any audience yet until they were saying, let's say about October next year.
It's crazy.
So it's the same situation still. So you need to create some strategies to control and to manage everything that is happening. So I think until tomorrow, each club will start working, and then many other decisions will come with it.
Right.
We haven't heard any.
What do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
I don't know. Before yesterday, I was a little bit more certain that maybe there was like a possibility that they would take like the measures to keep up with the league and just like to make it behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
But after yesterday, I think you can't have like this, like, okay, you're going to put the, how do you say, the cubrebocas?
Oh yeah,
mask.
Right, the mask.
And then like your gloves and that, like you can't play like that.
No.
So that's the thing when you're talking about sports. But you have 11, and as long as you have like all the medical checkups and all the carefulness that you need and like everything that like it was a little bit more possible before yesterday. But after Santos showed the results,
That's tough.
I think they're going to cancel it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Personal opinion.
I agree with you. I mean, you're not talking about just one player that can be secluded. You're talking about 8 players. 8 players is, and you don't know like the contact that those players had with whom, et cetera, et cetera. And not only that, but, did you get a chance to watch any of the Bundesliga games this weekend?
Just like the beginning, but then I was like, oh, it feels so sad when it's not your league.
All right. Well, the reason why I asked that is because I personally watched some of the matches, and I noticed that despite the players playing obviously hard and intense, I felt as though like there was something missing too. Like there was a little bit of like there's a little of
the
fear.
fan.
You know what I mean? Like I saw.
I live that.
Right?
I live that. Before the last match that we had, we didn't have any audience.
Right.
And it was weird. And even that, I can tell you, I'm at the field, and I can tell you that you can feel the soccer players. At the beginning, you felt how they were like if it was like a cascarita. How do you say that in English?
A pickup game.
Pickup game.
So it was more like that, like, yeah, it's the word, like if they were practicing.
Exactly.
Or it was like, so it changes everything.
No se estaban dando duro con todo, right? Like they weren't like, they were holding back.
No. It took them like a lot of minutes to like to be aware of that they were on a real game.
Right. Right. And that's exactly why I brought up the Bundesliga, because they are the first league to come back, but you can sense it in the way that the players are playing, right? And I think I'm just speaking from my perspective. Other people may be like, you know what? No, they're playing really hard. They're playing 100%. But I just don't sense that. And I think that's exactly what will happen also in Liga MX, and not only that, but like, how do you even justify Santos playing against anybody, period, right?
I know that if we continue and tomorrow they say, let's keep on with the Liga MX, we'll be really criticized worldwide. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that there is 8 players, tested positive.
Yes.
So.
And that is already on the news. I can tell you, like, sometimes you say like, oh, but it's Mexico soccer. No.
Oh,
everybody will know.
Oh, everybody knows. Like the news of the Santos players. It's in the Philadelphia Inquirer. It's in the Washington Post. It's in the New York Times, LA Times, Goal.com, Medio Tiempo. It's everywhere. And everybody...
Because this is the first stage. This is like the first part. And tomorrow, if they say yes, they will be like, we have the second part. Look at this. We told you about this, what happened with Santos, and they didn't care about it. So they have to take that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, COVID-19 has just made such an impact, like on sports, unlike anything any of us have ever experienced. The wave of attacks that the influenza has had on just like humanity, it's crazy, So I think that at the end of the day, we just have to like take that step back, and we have to think about the good of everyone, And it sucks that we're gonna lose money. They're gonna lose money, because at the end of the day, like all of us who are in this business, right? We're on the same boat. But hear me out. Some of us have had people who were our friends who have already died because of this, and there's a lot of people who still don't believe it, and that's what is a shame, right? We know that it's real. We know that it exists, right? But let's keep our head out of our ass. You know what I mean? Let's think about things right, and let's make things right. So, but anyway, Arantza, let me go ahead, dude.
Let me ask a question. This is an important one because obviously it's gonna affect you, Arantza. You're a field reporter,
right?
How do you feel if they, reopen and they start playing the games again? That you have to be in the field with, obviously everyone that's gonna be on the field and all the players, the coaches, and the staff. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's the thing. I haven't thought about that. But if you ask me right now, as a matter of fact, it's kind of difficult because, well, you can't be like, oh, I'll be here and I won't touch anything and I'll remember to do this and this and this and this, because you need to be focused on the game, focused on your job, and not on, I don't have to touch this or this and don't touch myself. So it's a little bit complicated because at the end of the day, I think you can't do your job at 100%.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Arantza. That's very well said, very well spoken. And unfortunately, we have to also do that, though, because it's for the sake of our safety. So we're going to have to take that into account. We can just not think about it anymore, right? So it's important that you do that first and then do your job. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
So anyhow, super. Actually, that was a great question, and that was an even better answer, Arantza. We run out of time here. It flew. Time was just like ticking and ticking and ticking with all this great information. And again, we really want to thank you for taking your time and joining us today. We had a blast. I hope you enjoyed yourself as well.
Yeah, it was a pleasure for me. And I think we need, like, after the decision they make tomorrow, I think next week or after some time, we can have our second talk.
Well, you're invited here all the time. So just know.
Round two.
Just know that you're invited here. So hopefully we can do this again. And also, like, is there anything that you want to say before we say goodbye?
Well, I want to thank everyone in the United States. For real, I need to tell you, I admire and I love how you are connected, specifically to Chivas, but to everyone following and loving Mexican soccer. It's just amazing to be during a match there, looking at you, hearing your stories. So I really, really love all the soccer audience in the United States, and I'm really pleased to be here today.
And I'm sure they're going to be pleased to have you back here as a guest on El Tri Online. So, ahí está, a ver.
Thank you.
Arantza, thank you very much once again. It's been a pleasure, and we'll hope to have you back. So, that pretty much does it for our show. Ahí está la musiquita, súper, a bailar.
Ahí está.
So,
y dile rapidito, ¿dónde te podemos encontrar y dónde te pueden seguir?
Me pueden seguir en Arantza. Mi nombre tiene la T, está medio raro. Arantza FS.
Ahí está.
ARANTZAFS.
There you go.
Eso es todo.
All right. So, on behalf of Super Mojado, Arantza Fernandez, I am Joe Rodriguez. Thank you once again for tuning in to this edition of the ETO Podcast. Nos vemos a la próxima, chavos. Cuídense.